Welcome to the afternoon session. Hope everyone had a nice break, feeling refreshed for what I'm sure will be a great presentation just now. You've probably been in a number of sessions already, so I shouldn't need to say it. Please open Slido. You can pop questions. If we have time, we'll cover them. If not, you've got one of the stands today, have you, here, or just...
We have.
Yes, either at the stand or
79, the orange one.
The orange one.
The Euphoric one.
Euphoric.
Head there if we don't get round to
the one with us on. Right.
But yeah, it should be a great presentation. A new era in benefits begins today, so that sounds exciting. We have Max and Sarah from Euphoric. We have Callum from Mercer, Marsh Benefits, and we have Charmaine from Disney. So hand over to you.
Hey. Thank you very much. Hello everyone, I am Sarah from Euphoric and I'm delighted to be joined by this panel today, and I'm going to briefly allow them to share their titles with you. So we have Shimon.
Yeah, hi, I'm Charmaine and I work for the Walt Disney Company and I head up benefits and wellbeing for the EMEA region.
Thank you. Max.
Hello, I'm Max, co-founder and CEO of Euphoric.
And Callum.
And hi everybody, I'm Callum. I head up our multinational client value proposition and our advisory services to multinationals in MMB.
Thank you very much. So this afternoon we are looking at the shift that's happening in global benefits, because no longer is it sort of a future ambition that AI is going to be part of our lives. It's very much here and is becoming an essential layer in solving the problems that we've had as an industry for a long time, for decades, that are suddenly becoming unlocked by this new superpower. And today we're going to talk about what's broken, the problems. We're going to talk about what's possible with these new technologies and kind of what you need to know to be able to make some good decisions as you maybe consider this in your organisations. So, Max, I'm going to start with you. You were Mr. Menopause.
That's correct. I no longer identify as...
Well, it's safe to say he's now post-menopausal.
I'm going to be careful what I say, but yes, you could say that, Sarah, yes.
Give us a quick 30 seconds on what Euphoric is, because I think it'll help shape the conversation from here on in.
Okay, so Euphoric is a company that was spun out of Peppy, which is a startup some of you may know. And we started working about 2 years ago on a series of AI tools. And from that, we spun out this new company, and it is an AI-first company. And what that means is kind of every process within the company is built using the latest AI technology from the ground up. And we've designed and built over the last 2 years what we're kind of describing as like a new operating system for employee benefits. And there's really two sides to it. There's a navigator, which is solving what we think are the big kind of employee-facing problems. So these are things like being able to communicate, being able to help drive different utilization patterns, starting to do stuff in preventative health that was just never possible before. So and there's a whole series of things we're doing in that side. And then for the employers, so I guess more the people in this room, we're for the first time bringing tools that give a kind of level of analytics that have never been possible. I think that's probably, does that broadly,
that's enough.
Do people understand what we do? Is that...
If you need more, come to the stand.
Yeah.
So, Shimon, let's start with you. You're very much on the front line. What are the real challenges that you and your team are facing at Disney in terms of benefits administration and benefits usage?
So I think there are a few things happening. So I would say firstly, in terms of the data access, it's really difficult for us to get real-time data. We rely on our brokers and insurers to give us data, but often that's months old. So by the time we're seeing what the trends are in the data, we're slow, we're kind of behind the game already. Mm-hmm. So it's really difficult for us to be agile in our decision making and being able to kind of react to the trends that we're seeing in our workforce. So that's a really key thing for us. Also really important is when you're looking at kind of multi-territories like we do, having sort of fragmented systems, it's really difficult to then again have that line of sight with the data. A big challenge for us. Employee engagement is huge. So we have a really big spend in benefits. However, we have, and I think we all relate to this, we kind of have that call to action, we have annual enrolment, we get peaks, everyone's really, really interested, and then it kind of tails off for the rest of the year. So our challenge is like, how do we keep employees engaged throughout the year? So that's kind of really key for us. And I think the other one that we can all relate to, we're very conscious of the escalating costs in the healthcare space. So thinking of, how do we encourage employees to take a more proactive approach to benefits, to try and mitigate some of those costs and bring us some cost control. So those are the kind of key issues for us.
It's a lot of issues.
A lot of issues. A lot of things to fix.
It's a lot of issues. All right.
That's why they need an EAP to solve some of these issues.
And then they need to unbundle that
Counselling.
EAP. Okay, all right. So EAP aside, take us through your vision of what a perfect solution could look like. What would crack this nut? What do you need for both your employees to make your life easier, make you more efficient? What kind of technology could do that?
So I think if I think about the employee experience, that user journey, it would be great if no matter where you were in the world, you had the same experience as an employee. So that kind of look and feel, that experience, those touch points are the same and consistent, and it's recognisable wherever you are. I think for us, on the benefits side, having access to real-time data, so that we're able to, look at our trends, see what's happening, and make those in-the-moment decisions, so that things are very relevant. So whatever we do is relevant and important to our employees, and we have confidence in that data. And then on the employee side, personalisation is huge. So I mentioned before about, trying to keep employees engaged. But if there's a way of really hyper-personalising each individual journey so that they are seeing benefits and getting messages and communications that are relevant to them in that moment, then that's a brilliant way to keep them engaged throughout the year. And then also I kind of talked about the cost control. So again, if you're kind of being able to hyper-personalise and engage your employees, they're much more likely to take preventative steps and measures using the benefits that we provide. And that's a massive step to then bringing down that cost for us that we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So Callum, MMB is, or I should say Disney is a client of MMB, so you, I'm sure, are very familiar with the problems that Shimon is talking about. I'm sure many of us are. But can you work with obviously many multinationals and have, I guess, a macro level view of what's going on, what the challenges are in benefits. Can you take us through some of those, please?
Yes, well, there's a lot of challenges, as Shimon has alluded to. I think fundamentally, taking a bit of a step back, the rewards directors or rewards leaders, benefits leaders that we're working with, I think at the heart of it are trying to get under the skin of how effective their global benefit spend really is, which is quite a challenging thing to do just because it's so multidimensional. I think on a very fundamental and basic level, multinationals are leaving money on the table if they're not essentially leveraging their own buying power as a global organization, if they're letting their countries negotiate pricing for vendors, suppliers, insurers. At an individual level, there's something being lost there from an effective buying perspective. So many, I'm sure, of the multinationals represented here today are working with central governance structures, working with global brokers to make sure that they are developing financing strategies, whether it's multinational pooling, captives, and also working with best practices to secure the best pricing for their programs at a local level. So that type of work, I think, has been quite effectively implemented through the benefits industry over the last 15 years or so, which to some extent introduces quite a good level of efficiency, at least from a pricing standpoint. The challenge is that you can have the best price for the wrong benefits. So how do you ensure that the designs of your benefit programs are the right ones? And even if you have the right benefits, how do you ensure that your employees understand them, understand the value that you're driving to them for your investments, and understand how to use them in the moments that matter to them when they need to access care or protection for their dependents. So I think from a design standpoint, in terms of ensuring that you're actually offering the right benefits, there are inefficiencies in the way in which we work. Traditional benchmarking is always likely to have a place in the industry, but it is quite flawed to some extent because traditional processes of collecting information through surveys, structuring that data, playing it back to the survey participants takes time. So it's always backward looking to some extent. And even the designs themselves at a local level, we all know have been often crafted more by underwriters and actuaries based on what they want to insure and what they want to offer versus what employees actually need. So really getting under the skin of real-time data and a granularity that enables employers to get to the heart of the correct benefit designs better is a very important way in which the industry needs to evolve. And then secondly, in terms of employees really understanding their programs, the platforms that we have today, global administration platforms, offer a lot to multinational employees in terms of administration and to some extent in terms of communication, but they are to some extent weakened by the fact that most employees go onto those platforms on an irregular basis, quite typically around open enrollment periods. So the regular interaction is lacking a little bit. And the other challenge is that the data on those platforms is often unstructured data in PDFs and so forth, which can be difficult for employees to navigate. So to Shimon's points, getting really under the skin of how you can deliver much more granular information in real time to employees to help them access benefits when they need them is going to get to the heart of them valuing their benefits and being able to use them effectively, I think.
That's great. And so enter AI. And I guess we were here this time last year talking about AI for pretty much the first time in benefits, and it's fair to say there was a suspicion and a lack of understanding really around what role AI could play in benefits. Fast forward a year and it seems very much like there's an appetite, there's an understanding now. But you're seeing this again on a macro level. What are your clients' appetites like for this kind of solution?
Yeah, the appetite's very big. I mean, I'd probably start with saying that I don't think AI is the solution to everything. It isn't the silver bullet that is going to solve all of the inefficiencies and the challenges that we're talking about.
I think we'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't need AI to tell us that the biggest claims are being driven in private medical insurance by cancer, diabetes, musculoskeletal issues, and so forth. So what we're finding is that increasingly when we're working with multinationals in benefits design, on broking, we need to infuse that work with clinical advice, with medical expertise. So we're investing a lot in bringing that type of skill set more into our organisation to supplement the more traditional benefits sort of advisory skills that people like myself have. That said, I think it's fair to say, and we probably all agree, that the industry is a bit behind the curve in terms of using AI to bring structure to what is an industry that is full of unstructured and fragmented data sets, whether they sit with insurers, providers, companies like ourselves, or within clients like Disney. So, you know, there is a huge potential for AI to really support us in terms of much more effectively and efficiently getting at the heart of that data. I think the other thing I'd say about AI is that our multinationals are demanding that we move faster in terms of bringing AI to bear on some of the challenges around sort of data aggregation, data analytics, but they're also looking for security in regards to things like data and information security, which AI perhaps takes to another level of risk for many of those multinationals with personal information flying around within their benefit programs. So from an MMB perspective, we've been investing a lot and hard over the last 2 years to build our own large language model, something we call Len AI, which is essentially our chat GPT, but it ring fences the information that we use and it ring fences our clients' data to bring greater levels of protection to it. But that said, we recognize that we need to be agile, and therefore we're also looking at the market in terms of innovators, disruptors, organizations that can bring propositions that can help us work together to solve the problems that we're talking about.
And you've seen the Navigator and the Gap, two of our products. What is it about those things that are resonating?
Well, I mean, they're exciting because they get to the heart of the challenges. I think Max and his team have done a lot of work in the last couple of years in really understanding what those challenges are, and how AI can help be part of the solution to sort of navigating through those challenges, if you excuse the pun. But I think, you know, the process of unbundling data into sort of smaller pieces of information within medical programs, pension programs, across the benefits landscape has two advantages. It allows AI to be much more accurate in the way in which it's reading and interpreting those data sets, but it also enables you to start to navigate employees at a much more granular level and provide much more granular data and benchmarking information when helping multinationals on plan design. So I think the way in which Navigator and Gap is being designed to address some of the challenges is at the heart of a lot of the inefficiencies we've been talking to.
Fantastic. Now, we've been talking for a number of months now. I say we as in MMB and Euphoric, so this, you know, global monster of a business talking to a tiny startup. Tell us a little bit about why you've been interested in what we're doing and where that might be going.
Well, like I say, I mean, we obviously have a lot of scale, and that brings an advantage in being able to invest in AI, but we also recognise that we need an agility as well, which only comes really from those people that are at the cutting edge of disrupting and innovating in the marketplace. So we're very excited about the opportunity to collaborate with Euphoric, to work together on a small number of pilot clients, to develop proof of concept and how we can bring a joint value proposition to bear on a number of the issues we've been discussing.
It's very exciting. Shimon, how does that sound to you? So again, you mentioned a number of clients. How, if this was a potential solution for you, how would that feel, having MMB and Euphoric together?
I mean, it sounds like the best of both worlds. And I think, Callum, when we've spoken, I think, really, we need to be careful we don't get left behind as a benefits industry. And, the world is moving really fast. And obviously we've seen AI come into play here. And it's really kind of thinking about how we can embrace AI and use it to our advantage. And for all the things that you've said already, the experience of Mercer, for Disney, you're a trusted partner. We've worked with you for many years. You know our business, you know the market. Tech as a standalone doesn't have that knowledge. But I think in partnership, kind of having the exciting front end of something like a navigator that will really engage employees, feels modern, it feels fresh. It's bringing really relevant information to the forefront for our employees. It's a much, much more engaging user experience. But we've got all the expertise and the security of someone like a Mercer in the background. So really for us, it's like the best of both. Yeah.
Max, I can feel you biting your tongue. Is there something you want to add?
No, I agree with them both. I think.
It's because he's been described as the exciting one.
Yeah, exactly.
That never happens.
We'll just stop there.
Let's give him a question then. Let's give him a question.
Like doing an IQ test and it works. Stop.
We've talked about the problem. We're talking about where the market's heading. Tell us about the tech, though. Why hasn't these problems have existed for decades? Why are we only now able to solve them?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, we're definitely not finding or discovering new problems. In fact, the problems we've tried to address are historic problems, and we only learnt about them actually by speaking to people. I mean, I can see Lauren, we spoke to you about this. Paul, we spoke to you about this. We did a kind of big research project, I guess, at the beginning of this journey to say what are the problems. But why the solutions are only available now is just simply a technological thing. I'm not saying it was for lack of trying before these tools were available, but if you think about the kind of major shift, which I guess you could say is some point in 2023, it's almost as though every piece of software that was built before 2023 becomes legacy software. And if you think about what I was saying at the beginning about us being an AI-first company, you just couldn't build that before 2023. And then if we take a very honest look at our industry, most of the software wasn't built in 2019, it was built in 2009, something like that. And then suddenly that just starts to feel like a different generation. So the leap forward that's possible now is just, it's like day and night. And I think one of the challenges that some of the legacy providers have is that you can't just take these new technologies and bolt them on to the existing software. So an analogy that might make this a bit clearer is if you imagine you've got a 2010 petrol car. It might be quite nice. It's a Mercedes. I don't know. It's a nice car. And you
Leather
take
interior.
A leather interior, walnut
Paid a lot of money for
dashboard.
it.
Yeah, 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. It's a nice car, okay? But you can't take it into the garage and just say to them, can you turn it into an electric car? You just can't do that. And it's a bit like that with the software, the shift from pre-AI to post-AI. And in the same way you just can't rip the engine out, also the mechanics that use the petrol engine don't have the skills to then use the electric engine. It's a completely new world, which has been why it's really exciting for a company like us that can just start afresh within this new world without being encumbered in any way by what came before. And I'm sure we'll do some demos at some point, but not only can you create tools that are just kind of, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say mind-blowing. I'm sure everyone in this room has used ChatGPT or a version of it, but imagine that on steroids in the benefits world. That's kind of what's possible now.
And it's expected, I think, that
Yeah.
from a user point of view.
Yeah,
people who-
everyone here is using Netflix, Amazon, you have an iPhone. There's a kind of consumer grade experience that you have in your kind of personal lives. And then you come into the office and you get onto the benefits software and it's like, you know,
1980s.
it's like a Nokia slide phone, you know, when you're used to using an iPhone 16. And so I think that's why this is such an exciting moment. Just one thing you said, Callum, I want to touch on, which is around this thing about human involvement. So what we really feel very strongly about, and I think it will be like this for years, is, you know, the AI just can't do anything. I think what you're going to witness at the moment is a lot of people making very bold promises about, you know, give us everything and our AI will magic it. You know, AI isn't magic. You know, the results that you get out are as good as the information you put in. And this is where you really need this local expertise. You know, I think of our team, everyone's based in either the UK or America. What do they really know about Korean health plan? I mean, do you have anyone?
We have people.
Okay, so someone's got to look at it and say, is that, and you know, it's not us, we don't have that person, and this is why you need, I mean, I don't know how your Korean.
Less exciting people do that.
No, I didn't mean that. How's your Korean?
Not so hot.
But someone, you've got someone that does Korean. And I think that combination of getting, you know, kind of beautiful consumer grade technology with real expertise and global knowledge bases is, I think, exciting.
Great. We're running out of time. I've got one question left, and it's a quick fire question.
Quick fire.
So, in one line to each of you, what's the shift that you're expecting in the next 2 to 3 years?
Hyper-personalisation and our consumer grade experience for our employees, for sure.
Max?
I wanted to say that, so I'm going to have to think
Sorry.
something else. Ask Callum now, and I'm going to think, well, Callum.
Callum?
Think of a car analogy.
Truly effective global strategy powered by AI.
What's left to say? No, I think what really is going to happen is I think the expectations of you, the people in this room.
One line, I said.
Yeah, one.
Okay.
Just one.
I think your expectations are going to be lifted massively. I think you spent a long time feeling frustrated, and now suddenly you're going to have high expectations.
I was told I could hit you if you talk too much.